What's doing? Welcome to another episode. This one is for you 4JJ3 guys. You seem to be the ones that sort of ask the questions about this more than anyone else really. Land Cruisers is bad as well, but you guys are the worst. Let's have a look. So here we have completely stock 4JJ3. I think it's got 33s on it with a little tray in the back. That's it, stock otherwise. Now, it's probably going to be in the title because they'll probably see it, but what is the question? What is the argument? My mates, brothers, sisters, auntie made this much torque and you're only making that much torque, or I made this much torque and they're only making that much torque. Why? What's the power figures? Why? There's a couple of reasons why. Tuners tune differently. Tuners make more than others. Tuners make less than others. Dynos are a big play. Do you have a Dyno Dynamics? Do you have a mainline? Do you have a Dyno Jet? There's 45 different other brands out there. They calculate differently. Generally, they have a weather station. If they don't, then they put their own weather details in. That's another video to calibrate your weather scenarios. That changes everything as well. But if we're all playing fair and you were to have a car on a dyno, tech dyno, like Dyno Dynamics like mine, versus another one that's the same, why are they making X amount of Newton meters, you're only making this? Let's have a look why. Alright, so I've just run this up, completely stock. We've made 108 and 335. So now I've done a couple of runs in this, and it makes that pretty much back to back within a couple of kilowatts, a couple of Newton meters of each other. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to run it up and show you a couple of different things we can do to change those figures. Alright, before we get started, I probably should tell you, if you're tuning the same way before and after, that's fine, because then the comparisons can change before and after. So I haven't tuned this car yet, it's literally just done a base run. If you do this, or your tuner does this, way I'm about to change things. If you do like for like before and after, there's no drama, and just be aware that that's the difference in the number. If the tuner is changing from OBD to what I'm going to do, that will manipulate numbers massively and create free torque. So what we're going to do is I usually run OBD, that reads what the engine ECU is seeing as an RPM, and then I'll change to what they call a ratio. So now I can set what RPM the car is doing. The dyno then just calculates that over speed of the rollers, how much power it's making as a calculation with what RPM we're saying the car is doing. So I've already run it up, like I said, from 60 to 140, and it just read the OBD. I put in manual mode and just read the OBD and went through. So what I'll do now is I'll go into the speed mode and I can set the RPM, and I'll show you at 100 k's what the two differences are. And I'll get two different RPM ranges by changing my foot pressure to get different RPMs, and then we'll load that in and we'll do some runs. Alright, so you can see there we're crawling up, that's 64 k's. Up there, and zoom in. I'll slow down again. We get 64 k's there, and just over at 69 k's. What we're going to do, so you can see the speed, where are we? You can see the speed there. But what we're looking at is the actual tacho. That's my ratio tacho, and that there is my actual engine OBD tacho. So we'll go up to 100 k's an hour. So let's creep up to 100. So about 2500, 2550, somewhere there. So then if I stand on it, it goes about 2750. So hopefully you heard me there. These tyres are really loud. So at 100 k's just touching on it, we're about 2550, and full load about 2750. So what we'll do now is I'll put the tacho in as a ratio, and then we'll run it up and I'll show you the two differences. So I'll zoom in here for Shano. So what we're going to do is we'll go to, I've got to do this two-handed here while doing everything else. Go to graph, and you can see our old power run. We're going to press T, and at the moment you can see we're running in OBD. So what we're going to do is we're going to change OBD to ratio, and we'll change this to 2550, and we'll go OK. So now our tacho reading is off the ratio, not off the OBD. So you can see our OBD is reading here constantly already at 750, and our ratio is reading at 0. So let's run up and see where this goes. 60. We'll open up our throttle. You can see the difference already in OBD and ratio. Let's run it. Well, look at that. We just made nearly 200 Newton meters by changing our ratio. So now if we change that back the other way, we press our tacho and our ratio, we make that 2750. And we go, okay. And we'll run it up again. And if you just keep your eye on these bottom corners, if you keep your eye on the engine speed RPM versus the tacho ratio RPM, you'll see the difference of what the car's doing versus what I've told it the car's doing. Starting at 60 again, hold the throttle open, see the RPM. Alright, so what do we have now? So now we've made 100 Newton meters more. So it doesn't take much to change this reading. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to load a file on this. I've got a bit of a bass tune for this already. We'll load in and see how it goes, and then I'll do the same thing. I'll do OBD, we'll do 2550, and then we'll do 2750. This is all the same for all makes, model cars, diesel, petrol, whatever. Sometimes you have to use ratio, and the reason for using ratio is if the car doesn't have OBD, so therefore you have to do like for like. You're obviously doing ratio. Set your 100k zone where you're in 4th gear or 7th gear, whatever your 1-to-1 is, depending on the car. And then you know where your 100k's is and what RPM you're doing. You set that, log that in there, and you keep that the same for every run. These big Newton meter jumps without having big kilowatt jumps generally isn't a tuning thing. It's people manipulating the tune. And then, like I said, the other one is they're using ratios before and after, or they're changing the ratio after, or they're using a different dyno altogether. A different dyno uses a different calculation, so you can't compare a dyno dynamics with a mainline, because it's not the same. So if you've got your car done on a dyno dynamics and then you go to a mainline, it's going to read completely different. The tune doesn't change at all, but the dyno reading will read different. So let's load this file in, let's have a run again after, see where it goes and see how many Newton meters I can make. Alrighty, so this is now loading in, and it takes about half an hour to do this. So while this is loading in, I'll go have a nice can of beverage and wait for this to load up, and then we'll run it back up and we'll do the same test again. Alright, so I've just set this back up at 60. This has got a tune in it. It's on OBD, not on the ratio, so let's run it up and see where we go. I have to apologise for the filming, trying to drive a car, press buttons and film at the same time. Not my forte, but let's have a look at the screen and see what we've got. All right, so we're on the laptop here so you can see a little bit clearer. The red line is our stock. So this is our stock, 108 and 335, and now this is our tune at 140 and 429. So about 100 Newton meter gain, and about, what's that, 30 kilowatt gain. So I'll have a look at the tune after I've done this. I'll get some data out of it and have a look and see if there's any more in this or not. The torque converters here are weird in the autos, and that's what this dip is. It does it factory as well through here. But that's what we get generally. I'll have a look, I'll have a look at the tune and see where we can go. But 429 from 335 and 140 to 108. All right, so now let's go the 2550 ratio, and then we'll back it straight back up with the 2750 ratio and see where that goes. All right, so let's just change this now from OBD to ratio, and we're going to change that to the 2550 first. So that should be 2550. It is. We go OK. And let's select our run button over here. And let's get started. So 60, you can see the difference in ratios. What is that? What do we got? So now we've got 144, so we made a bit more power, and 650 Newton meters of torque. So big jump in torque. I've gone green so you can see green for green. So that's the top green one at 106.9 and the 513 versus the 144. So let's go to 2750 now and see where that puts us. Alright, so we're now in the ratio button again. We'll change this one to 2750. And we'll go OK. And I'll go select the purple in this one so you can see the pink versus purple. So I'll zoom back out, try and hold this straight while trying to do everything else at the same time. Let's go run. Let's get to 60 and go again. Alright, what have we got? So we've got 143 kilowatts, so a bit of heat, travel, things like that is obviously going to change, and 558 from 469. So you can see the gains, the numbers change when you change the numbers. That's right, you wouldn't believe it. So you can manipulate, like I said, these are just one way of manipulating dyno numbers. There's a multitude of other ways. If you want to know more other ways to do it, let me know. I can show you some different tests we can do. But like I said, no disrespect to any other tuners. If they're doing ratio for ratio, that's cool. As long as the ratio stays the same for before and after, that's cool. Obviously tyre size takes into account and all those sorts of things, but as long as you're seeing the ratio same for same, that's cool. If you're changing numbers from OBD to ratio, that's not cool. And I have seen it around, and I've had cars come in and I can physically show the customer what's going on and reality of it. And then you try and do a check against another car that makes the same, well, you try and do a test against another car that makes less power and torque, and that car beats it because it's making physically more power and torque because there's lies in the tune. So don't believe everything you can see. Make sure you're getting ratio versus ratio. I'll print out the sheet so you can see maybe a little bit better than on the screen. We can go through it and we can have a discussion about the 3 different things that we can do. Okay, so we're outside now. I've printed it out. I did a couple more tuning runs to get this car dialed in. So the colours are different, but I can show you all the logs down the bottom so you can see what it says. All right, so what you can see here is green. It's come out of a jumbled order here, but green is our stock run. And then we go through to our tuned run at the end, which is our purple run is 140. So that you can see, but here's our differences. So let's have a look down the bottom here. So what you can see is our runs. So we have run up versus standard and run up versus tuned is there. And then we have our ratios of 2750, 2750, and 2550 and 2550. Nowhere on here does it say what was used in OBD or ratio. These are what I've written in so you can understand what's going on and you can see the different figures of what's happening. Now I'll hold this here so you can see, but basically run 1 is green, which is standard. Then we go to our tuned, which is down the bottom in our purple is tuned, so you can see it down here. And then our red is ratio 2750, and we have the pink, which is 2750, and we have the 2550 is the blue and orange. So you can see the differences here between the two you're getting compared to what you actually get if you keep the numbers the same. Yeah, so if you keep the ratio numbers the same before and after, that's cool. If you change them, you go from OBD to ratio and manipulate the numbers, that's not cool. So we see a lot of questions, people saying, oh, you know, so-and-so got this figure and so-and-so got that figure. You just need to see the data, make sure it's right. I've seen data and it's not right. I've seen tunes and you're like, what the hell is in that thing? And we've fixed it. This one here's been tuned by somewhere else and it's cracked the piston, and so we're not tuning it. So there are some bad tunes out there, some really good tuners out there. Just be wary of where you're going and just ask the questions, how they're doing it. Ask to see the logs so you can see it. Yeah, if they don't want to show you anything, they're hiding something maybe, I don't know. But just do your research, make sure everything's right, and just realise that dynos aren't dynos comparatively. You know, apples versus apples, dynos versus dynos aren't the same. So mine's a Dynotech versus a mainline, not the same. Versus a hub, not the same. You know, there's so many different variables. You just got to look at the gains you get and say, yep, cool, it goes better. Yep, cool, my fuel efficiency is better. Yep, cool, you know, I've got this, I've got that, and it drives the way I want, and it drives really good, and your engine stays together, which would be ideal. But yeah, you can't be comparing dyno sheets to dyno sheets because there's just too many variables, and that's from dyno to tuner. So let me know. I can do some more ones where you can show you what we can change to try and manipulate the numbers. There's heaps of dodgy ways to do it. Like I said, I run a weather station, so it tells you barometric pressure. It's hot as balls in here at the moment. I think it's 40 something degrees in here. So you can change barometric pressure, you can change room temperature, and that calculates all differently. So just be aware of those things. If you want to see anything, let me know. We can try and get some more videos in. Hopefully I explained everything. And again, for the dyno guys out there, I'm not pointing anybody out, just saying that if you do it ratio to ratio, cool. If you do an OBD to ratio, not cool. Just do it the right way. Right, that's it for me guys. Cheers, hope you liked it. Smash that like, hit subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.